Do you love what you do? Work at Saia LTL Freight and you will. We've been the most elite team in shipping for 95 years and counting by caring for our people like family. So whether you're on the docks or in the driver's seat, when you put on our uniform, you're joining a first-class tradition of excellence. Start your new journey with us today. Visit workatsaia.com now. That's workatsaia.com. Do you love what you do? Work at Saia LTL Freight and you will. We've been the most elite team in shipping for 95 years and counting by caring for our people like family. So whether you're on the docks or in the driver's seat, when you put on our uniform, you're joining a first-class tradition of excellence. Start your new journey with us today. Visit workatsaia.com now. That's workatsaia.com.
Pod Askew Podcast is a founding member of the Odd Pods Media Network.
I'm Rob.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Joe.
I love it.
I think it's kind of meh.
And I've never seen it.
We're keeping up with the Cardassians.
A podcast covering 7 seasons of Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
But that's not it. We go down the wormhole
Of pop culture, life, and Garrick.
New episodes every Monday.
On your favorite podcasting platforms. You can also interact with the show on Twitter at CardassiansPod.
And just like the Ferengi, we can't wait to stroke your lobes.
To the Pod Askew Podcast. I am CJ, and with me, as always, is my hetero life mate Rico. What's up, man?
You know what the difference between you and me is? I make this look good.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I don't know. We'll find out.
What's going on, brother? That was nicely done, by the way.
I was debating about using that as the ending, the final words, but I don't know.
No, I mean, who knows? So, anyway.
It'll probably end with me going, ha ha, ha ha. You know, that, the micro shitty Will Smith impression I do.
Yeah. So anyway, what's going on, brother?
Just fucking, it's been, getting back to home made me realize I need a vacation.
Dude, no offense, I kind of felt that way about coming home from hanging out with you.
Right?
Like, I had fun, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not that I did not enjoy my time with you and staff, but, like, I got home and was like, fuck.
Yeah, you come home and not to get super deep and real, but, like, all the problems that, like, I just kind of left here came back full force.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just overwhelmed with drama.
If I had one complaint about hanging out with you guys, I think we did too many things. Like, I would have liked 1 or 2 more days of us just doing really nothing than we had. But it's not to say I didn't enjoy the time we had, but I would have enjoyed another day or another evening of us. Because one of my favorite memories of the entire trip, and it's not to say everything else sucked, was like the last night I was in, not the last night before I got back on the plane, but I guess that Friday where we got done getting vocal and just did nothing. And then Saturday we kind of chilled. We went out to Rasputin, but that wasn't really like a thing, and it was just good times,
I mean, we still, you're right. There was a day or two where we just kind of like, fuck it, let's just hang out and eat.
Well, even if we didn't eat, like just, because we watched, I think that day we watched, it was either that day or within that 24-hour period, we watched When Harry Met Sally and Ghostbusters, and just
Ghostbusters was the night before you left, but we saw When Harry Met Sally and, like, Pirate Radio, I think, in the same day.
No, Pirate Radio was definitely the day before. Yeah, I remember that. But anyway, the point is it was just us hanging out. We weren't really doing anything. There was no plan. It was just, Anyway.
Oh, yeah. I enjoyed doing nothing.
So do I. That's what I was looking forward to. And then we get there, we had like 20 different things to do. It's like, fuck. All right, well, let's do it.
To be fair, we also added a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't do. Like,
right.
We're like, all right, let's record about this, or let's do this thing.
Yeah, we planned on doing like multiple recordings. I brought all the equipment. We did like 2. So yeah. Anyway,
we were very ambitious, and then we're just like, fuck this.
By Friday, I was wore the fuck out, dude. No joke. Yeah. I was like, so anyway, none of that's a complaint. I'm glad we did what we did, and honestly, I think a big part of it, though, if I was to place blame, and I use that term incredibly loosely, is Michael, because honestly, he made more time to hang out with us than I think either of us had anticipated. So that shifted, especially like that Wednesday, very differently than I think either of us had envisioned. You know what I mean? So
I think even if you took Michael out, a lot of our plans changed, dramatically. Like,
oh yeah,
it's just.
Oh, well, like I said, that's why I said it was loose, because I'm not. But like, if he hadn't taken that day to hang out with us and do the thing that we, going out to the city, like we talked about already on the show, it probably would have been the drive that we talked about. Drive over, drive back. We would have been back by like 8:00 at night, just doing nothing, as opposed to getting in at like 2 a.m. or whatever ridiculous time it was that we.
Oh, it wasn't that late.
It was later than anticipated. You were like, we'll be back by 8:30, and I remember looking at the clock at 8:30, no, we ain't going home anytime soon.
It was something like
midnight.
11.
It was like 11 to midnight, somewhere in there.
11 to midnight, but it wasn't 2 in the morning.
It was still later than we had.
It wasn't
definitely
8, I agree.
Definitely than we had anticipated. But anyway, that's a whole different thing. And again, I don't want to make it sound like a complaint, because it certainly is not. It was more of just an observation. But
I'm not gonna lie, though. You have said I'm not complaining, but then you proceed to complain.
Well, no, I don't, because it's not. No. If I'm complaining, motherfucker, you'll know I'm complaining, and that's why I know how it sounds, but that's why I preface it that way.
Would you like me to neuralize you so you could have a fresh start on a trip?
Yeah. Speaking of neuralizing, we are here kind of doing. What we realized coming into this one is we ended up doing an impromptu trilogy of our own on buddy cop films, because we did Rush Hour, then we did Bad Boys, and now Men in Black. Men
in Bad Boys. No, that doesn't work.
No, not at all. But nice try there. Yeah.
Men in Rush Hour.
Rush Hour in Black. No.
Black Rush. Bad Black Rush just sounds like a really
bad Black Hour.
Just like it sounds like a John Singleton movie that never was released.
No, none of us. Yeah. Anyway, so yes, we're gonna talk about Men in Black today, which is technically the only one that's 4 movies in the series. I think. Yeah.
As of now.
As of now.
Well, or you could look at it as there's the 3. And then there's that one.
Well, I guess it depends on how you view it. I mean, yes, it's not the same. If we're talking about, the buddy cop, it's a different. But see, only 2 of them are officially the same 2 people, if you really think about it. Because.
Oh, well, I mean,
same 2 characters, but yeah.
I see what you're saying. I mean, there's a whole, different actor playing the same character, but
for the bulk of the film.
Yeah, well, did you see what Tommy Lee Jones looked like in that movie?
No, I get it, and I'm not finding fault with it, but I'm just saying, like, if we're talking about technicalities here, that's all I'm saying,
Fair enough. So what before we even get into like critiques and shit, how do you rank them?
I've been thinking about that. I'm struggling with it. I can tell you this. I know for a fact I think 3 is my favorite, without question.
Really?
I love 3. And that's not a shot at Tommy Lee Jones, because I think he's awesome in the first 2. I really do. I think Josh Brolin fucking nails it, though. You know what I mean?
I do agree. Even if you don't like Men in Black 3, you have to acknowledge that Brolin does an amazing Tommy Lee Jones.
Without even, like, it's because I wouldn't even call it an impression. It's more of an interpretation. You know what I mean? Because there's still enough Brolin there to say that that's Brolin, but there's enough Tommy in that as well to make it believable that he would be the younger version of Tommy Lee Jones.
You could tell that like they definitely got along, or that Brolin perfected his impression while working with Jones on No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, I mean that's possible for sure. Yeah. So the point is, I think it, and I like the story. I like the way it all plays out. The way they even tie it back to the first one very nicely, in my opinion. Or at least it doesn't. We'll get into it, but yeah, I think they find a way to tie it back to the first one pretty nicely, in my opinion. And then so there's that. After the third one, though, it's hard for me to rank them. It really is. Like I struggle with it. I suspect I don't hate the fourth one as much as you probably do. I
wouldn't say I hate the fourth one. I understand what they were trying to go for. I just have some criticisms. But finish the ranking. Tell me what you think. So all right, 3.
3 for sure, and then it gets really kind of muddy. Because I don't think I like any other one. Like it's hard for me to rank out the other 3. I enjoy them all equally for different reasons. Like
yeah, I have a way easier time ranking it than you.
Yeah, well that's fine, but because like in 2 I can find certain things I absolutely love about it. Going into it, I expected it to be a 3-2-4-1 kind of thing, and then watching them all again, I expect it ended up not being that. It ended up being a little muddier after the 3. Like 3 is definitively the one I like the most. That I can say. But
I would go 1, 3, 2, 4.
Okay. I mean,
I love the first one.
I'm not saying, but that's the thing. That's why I'm saying there's muddiness. I don't have a fundamental problem with the first one. But I have trouble separating it from maybe the second. Because there's aspects of the first one I love. Like, especially, I know it sounds stupid, but I love when Jay is not an agent yet. When he's still just James. And watching that transition when he goes from James to Jay.
You and I both like those origin story type things, especially what shows them like...
It depends, because we've both said that we've had enough with Batman and enough with Spider-Man. Yeah.
But okay, excluding those, we do like to see like a character progress, get their gadgets, get their fucking...
Yes, because we both like Batman Begins better than Dark Knight, although we both acknowledge it's the better film,
Right. But like, you're not a big Bond guy, but like I've always said, like, some of the best parts for me was when like Q was giving Bond like a new gadget. Like sometimes the gadgets got a little ridiculous, but you can't help but see Men in Black and be like, a lot of these are weird gadgets, like straight from the Bond films. It's just alien-esque.
Right, which I think is why I can accept it a little more than I do the Bond stuff, because it's set to like alien craziness, as opposed to like Bond is really supposed to be real world-ish as best as possible, Yeah,
so, until you think about it. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So anyway,
well, where did you watch these in order over the years?
Yeah, I saw one in the theater. So one holds a special place for me because I saw it in the theater. I was with somebody I genuinely cared about at the time, and we saw it together. And there were lines from that movie we used to quote to each other from time to time, and sometimes for no reason, sometimes for reason. Like, one of her favorite lines is when Will Smith jumps into the top of the double-decker buck and goes, "It just be raining black people in New York City," he
ad-libbed that.
Oh, I believe it, and that sounds like a Will line. It's like, I think that's hysterical, and like I always was a big fan of, even though it doesn't logistically, it doesn't lock up, but when he would be say, NYPD means I will knock your punk ass down. Like, I think that's a great, although it does, if you really think about it, it doesn't work, but whatever.
It works, but it doesn't make sense. But I'm
from a
with you.
spelling perspective, it doesn't work. But
right.
yes.
Grammatically, it really drives you nuts, but like, it's still a funny ass line.
Right. You know what I mean? And like, But
this is coming from the guy who fucking created the word jiggy. So,
right.
So, he's allowed to fucking bend a little bit of
for sure.
grammar.
And so, like, there's lines like that in the film. The other one the one that she was another huge fan of was the let me tell you about all your skills. They mean precisely dick. She fucking loved that line. She had I'll tell you this right now, and not to get off on a thing, but she had a fucking thing for lines that had the word dick in it. It occurred to me when I was thinking about it watching this, because that's the other thing she loved when we were talking about her and I back in the day about Batman and Robin. As terrible as that movie is, and I'm not going to sit here and defend it, but there's a line when Robin's talking to Batman about how he's going to go be with Ivy and all that, and he and Clooney as Bruce Wayne turns to him and goes, she's trying to kill you, dick. But he takes that pause.
You're absolutely right. He does an emphasis on dick,
right? And it's totally
which makes me
purpose.
Kind of like question, like, why is that even like a nickname for Richards anymore? Like, I don't understand it.
Well, I don't think it is as much anymore, but it was at some time. But anyway, so like those lines though, getting back to MIB though, like that's one of the things that I like. So that movie holds some for me because of stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like those little moments.
I have to agree because I mean, obviously, when you saw Men in Black, you were 17, give or take.
Yeah.
I was 6, 7.
Yeah.
It didn't occur to me until like about 20 minutes before we started recording. I think the first time I saw Men in Black, I borrowed it from the tenants that lived where I'm living. In the fucking apartment, the unit, the downstairs unit where Steph and I stay, we had tenants. I don't even remember the name. I know it was a couple, and I know they had some VHSs. And I don't remember how the context of how it started, but like I guess like they were like pseudo babysitters for me from time to time.
Sure, that makes sense.
And I remember being the VHS cover for Men in Black had there were different versions of it, but like some of it had that kind of image where if you move the cover, the image kind of glows or it looks
it's
weird.
It's like a sheen thing. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I was captivated by the cover, and then eventually they just let me borrow it. So in a weird roundabout way, like it's sort of full circle. Like the first time I watched Men in Black was down here,
and now here you are. Hey, look at that. Can we talk about the cover for a minute? Not necessarily like the sheen thing, but like this is probably bugging me more than you will ever give a fuck about. But like all of the packaging, the DVDs, the old VHS, I guarantee it. The advertising when the movie came out, because I remember them advertising it. Because I remember the first thought, let's talk about this real quick, and we'll go back to my thought I was starting to make there. I remember when I started advertising this film in the summer, going into the summer of 97. And it was like, Will Smith's doing another Alien movie? Really? Like, honestly, that's I mean, for you at 6 or 7 probably didn't even register. But for me, having seen Independence Day the year before, like, really, Will? You're just going to keep doing these alien movies? You know what I mean? Like, now, obviously, he's gone on to do many better things, but that was, like, the thought that I remember having.
He didn't want to do it for exactly that reason.
I remember, I've read that since, but I'm saying at the time that was the thought process that went through my brain. And then all the advertising, Men in Black is written in these big-ass block fucking letters. Like thick block letters. And then the title screen comes up in the goddamn movie and it looks like pencil. Like that has irked me since the day I saw it. It still irks me to this day.
Do you know what I think what that style is?
No.
It's constellations.
But then they shouldn't have. See, my opinion is they should have. I don't know. I don't like that advertising on. Like I will. There's a lot of other movies we've seen where the advertising matches everything else, and this is one of those few that's very. The only other one that's different, and it's because it was the first one, and then they changed to kind of line it up, was Indy. Indy kind of get that more orangey, yellow, arced Indiana Jones thing as you got, later. But I don't know.
I think Kingdom of the Crystal Skull had a different font.
Maybe, but right, itself. But I don't know. It just irked to me that they're like. It felt like, when we had the conversation about establishing a city, like the Gotham is Chicago, and we had those kinds of conversations, it's kind of the same concept to me. Like, they established, this is the MIB, it's this logo. It's because they really pushed the MIB. They didn't call it Men in Black. They were really pushing the MIB with the, to the point that I remember there were friends of mine or people in school that I was with that were like, what is MIB? Because for a while there, they weren't even telling you what it stood for. They were just like, from an advertising, it was like, MIB are coming in, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like you saw Tommy and Will in the suits. It was just the 3 letters. So, like, they pounded that lettering to you, and then you get to the fucking film and you get these pencil line writing, and it was like even if it was just the Men in Black was written that way and all the names, like when they're doing Tommy Lee Jones, if that was written like that, I don't care. But that MIB, when they write out Men in Black, like, I don't know.
I totally understand. I'm like you. I do kind of like that consistency of if this is how the artist drew it, and that's canon. That's the big block MIB letters are more iconic than the. I still think my theory is founded because because it's not just lines.
They're wiggly. Yeah.
There's dots in the middle of it. It looks like constellations.
Your logic is probably 100% right, Rick. I'm not arguing against your logic, but I'm arguing.
But I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something that I found kind of interesting. They're agents, right? They're Agent K and Agent J. And you will probably appreciate this. But they basically, the actors' last names are Jones and Smith, the most fucking bland names ever, essentially for like Matrix.
Well, the actors, but not
Agent Jones.
But the actors, not the characters. We don't know what. I mean, we don't really find out what Kay's last name is until the second one, if you want to get technical. And it was Edwards for Jay.
Right, but I'm talking about the kind of Matrixy pun of these guys in black suits, wearing sunglasses, and their names essentially are Agent Smith and Agent Jones.
Oh, I think I made the joke the first time I watched The Matrix and saw the agents. I was like, oh, it's the Men in Black. Like, I think I might have said it to nobody. I might have just said it to myself, but still, yeah, I got you there.
I thoroughly enjoy the first one. And a lot of it is because I really appreciate how much darker it is. And I think that's where you and I can kind of differ on franchises on a whole. I do tend to prefer like a sci-fi alien movie, even with a lot of humor thrown in, is I can appreciate it more because it is darker. The first Men in Black is gross. It's kind of scary, especially for a 6-year-old. Like Edgar the Bug, even if it's not the giant cockroach form, where it's just Vincent D'Onofrio, he's grotesque. He's scary.
Yeah. No doubt about that.
And then throughout the films, they kind of get more lighthearted and campier and goofy. So I kind of wish they had kind of kept to that darker tone. They probably had to lighten it up because a lot of kids were freaked out, but not for nothing. Like I've heard a lot of my friends in my age group really like Men in Black 1, and I think it's because of the darkness. Like Michael and I watched the first 2 together, No, we also watched. We watched the first 3, just different days.
Okay.
He was like, "Yeah, I prefer the first one. It's darker. Second one and third one are fine, but it's just goofy. It's just a lot more, more jokey than dark. Whereas, the first one was really like the whole I remember they featured it in the trailer, but when D'Onofrio stretches his skin all the way back, he's like, "There, is that better?"
Yeah.
I remember being kind of freaked out but intrigued by it. I'm like, what is that? What is this weirdness? Because I saw the trailer before I saw the movie, which fueled them what's this fucking movie gonna be?
Right.
So yeah, I still have. I mean, also, just the weird the opening scene where fucking K and
D.
I guess he would be. What's his name?
D.
That whole thing with Mikey the fucking alien, he looked scary as shit. And,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's so fucked up. I remembered watching that scene where Mikey's holding the head, and in my mind, I thought there was blood dripping from the head. I thought it was a real severed head that the Mikey the alien cut a dude's head off, put it on a stick, and was able to manipulate it that way. I didn't really put 2 and 2 together that it was basically a machine. It was an animatronic. Yeah. So in my own memory, I'm imagining it was grotesque and bloody and dripping shit and blah blah.
You also like a lot of those type films, so that's probably another reason your brain went there. But I got you.
Well, yeah, I've always said this. I was terrified of horror films, but I liked movies that were the in between, like Tim Burton shit. And,
sure.
And and Men in Black, I think, would qualify for that. It's got Danny Elfman music. It might as well be a Tim Burton movie.
Well, I mean, yeah, and that going back to that font real quick, that looks a lot like stuff you would get from. You know what it reminded me of a lot when I first saw it was Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
It's very similar to the font for Beetlejuice. So
it is also because a lot of people forget that Tim Burton didn't do the first 2 Addams Family movies. He is going to adapt it now. He's going to do a Addams Family show on Netflix called Wednesday.
Right.
But at the time, everyone assumed Tim Burton did the Addams Family movies, but it's Barry Sonnenfeld, the guy who did the first 3 Men in Blacks,
which is the same font, by the way.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. It's weird, just pencil drawings, but I would argue it works for the Addams Family more than it does for.
Agreed, 100%. Don't have, but here's the thing: they didn't push the. I think and I don't mean to beat a dead horse here, but they pushed that MIB a lot during the advertising, and I also remember the advertising for Addams Family. They didn't. They put it up on the screen, but it wasn't that wasn't the you used the right word earlier. MIB became an icon. It was almost a logo, whereas the Addams Family didn't have that. So to go to the film and see that and have that pencil writing, whatever you want to call it, played better than you did with MIB.
Well, I would also add that the font used on the cover for the Addams Family movies was also iconic in its own way. It looked like it looked like block Gothic. It was a Gothic version of the MIB logo, essentially.
Yeah.
So maybe fucking Barry Sonnenfeld just doesn't give a shit.
Maybe. I mean, and look, I'm sure I'm picking on a minor point in the bigger scheme of the film, but I mean, that was a thing for me, and it's still, I guess it's just something that always stuck in my craw. It's always been something that just kind of hung on me. But I do enjoy the films. I do agree with you that 2 and 3 are certainly more lighthearted comparative to 1 for sure.
And 4. International is just as lighthearted as 2 and 3, in my opinion.
I felt like they tried to be a little more serious in a lot of ways with 4, though. Or at least a little more. What's the word I'm looking for an alien movie? Real worldish. I mean, you saw the aliens.
Woke?
No. I don't. That's...
Oh no! 4 got a lot of bad reviews and a lot of it is critical of how quote unquote PC and how woke it is. Like I didn't just read the trivia and come to my conclusion. I read the good and bad reviews just to see what the demographic is. And here's basically how it is. Most people say the first was the best. Some people actually don't remember the second one as being as good as they remembered. Like when it came out, they were like, "This is awesome, Men in Black 2, fuck yeah." Then they were like, "Wait a minute, what the fuck was that?" Third one it says, "Yeah, actually, this one's really good, and Josh Brolin is astounding," and blah blah blah. And then they were like, the fourth one, it's like, "Yeah, Chris Hemsworth was really fucking like kind of just too jokey and kind of, he was just." In some scenes, just not likable, and they're trying to, there's always the MAGA idiot reviewer who's just like, why do they got to have a black woman in the Men in Black? It's called the Men in Black. They're just doing that just to have the sole reason of saying, the men and women in black. They're just trying to make these woke PC jokes, and I'm like, yeah, that's the day and age we're in.
I don't have a problem with the organization being called Men in Black and yet having women in there. And I'll say that based on the history that they write for these films, right? Because, which they kind of double back on a few times throughout the franchise, but I guess we'll get there because it's hard to, without like jumping from film to film, to really explain what I'm thinking on that. So
try.
All right,
we're part of SKU. We're all.
Well, no, I can do it, but I just have to go from because like in one, Kay tells Jay the history, like after the test. But we have to talk about that because that cracks me the fuck up too every time. But we'll get there. But after the test, and he's kind of giving him the history of Men in Black. He talks about how aliens made contact on, and he gives a date. I forget what it is, but it's like 1950 something, and they're on this back road in upstate New York, right? Like that's and he says something about like 5 agents and 1 kid that got lost on the wrong road or something. I forget the exact line. So
the implication is that it's him. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And then
a native New Yorker with a very pronounced Texas accent, but whatever.
Sure, whatever. But then you also get to, when you get to 4, it implies that it actually went further back than that.
Yeah.
All the way back to Eiffel, which would put us in the 1840s, 20s, somewhere in that window, so like, but see, none of that do I have a problem with, honestly, because like it.
Oh, I do.
Why? Just because it's possible to have had more history than was explained?
I don't like inconsistencies with what the mythology they're trying to make. I understand MIB International is supposed to kind of be a soft reboot. I would rather they ignore the previous 3 and start a whole new thing.
I just took it as expanding as opposed to...
It doesn't make sense for Kay to be as high-level ranking agent that he is to not know about Eiffel.
I found a way to justify it, but I mean, I guess that's just me. Do you know what I mean? Like
what the European branch didn't explain it to the fucking American branch?
No, it's not even that complicated. It's much simpler than that. It's Jay as a brand new agent is entitled to that information, so he's only giving him the history of that branch of the agency. So of the agency of the New York agency, that's the history for that branch, that division, that whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Like
I can buy that. Again, that's actually a very good rationale, but I still have a problem with like time travel movies they're very slippery of what they can do to their own mythology and franchise. And I say that a lot. Like, it's hard to be so smart where every intricate detail of what the other films have done and try to make it fresh and exciting. I thoroughly enjoyed the third film, but I have a big fucking plot hole that drives me nuts.
Okay, well, depending on what I think it is, I might be able to fill it in for you, but we can get to that when you want. But If
We'll
you want
get
to do
to
it
it when
now,
we
we'll
get
do
to
it now. I don't care. You just...
Will Smith's character was born in 1969.
No. Well,
Mm.
wait. Oh, is that what it said
Mhm.
in the first one?
Yeah.
Okay, but...
Also, I don't buy the whole Kay has been kind of like Kay was there at the very start of Jay's life, like he was involved with his dad. I'm fine with the time travel thing. I think the introduction of like his father and Kay being there to neuralize a young Jay and guide him through and be there from the very beginning, I think was stretching
I don't
the
think he.
limits
I don't think he was there all the way through. I think here's what I honestly think. This is how I interpreted what I saw, because I had a feeling this was the plot hole you were going to be referring to, right? The way I saw it is this: yes, that event happens in 1969. Okay, I'm not going to argue with you about Jay's date of birth on the screen from the first one, because I honestly don't remember. But let's just say that's we'll chalk that up to like they did with Spider-Man. Remember when
they fucked up. They weren't paying attention.
Right. Okay. So let's just ignore that part for a minute and talk about the rest of it. Okay. I took it as yes, he's there. Yes, he neuralizes Jay. Won't argue with that. Right. But after they walk off, after he gets Jay into his mother, because it's presumed that Jay's not an orphan. He still grew up with a mother. He just didn't have his father. Right. Mm-hmm. So once he gets him back to his mom, I think he very much stands back. But it explains to me why he was there so quick after the thing happened in the first one. Like, he was keeping an eye on it. He saw that he was a cop. He was watching his cases. And when he finally had that case where he chases down, I think they called him a cephalopoid, but don't quote me on the alien type. But when he chases down that alien, that ultimately jumps off the roof, that's when Kay saw it as, okay, now we have an in to pull Jay in without it being really just out of left. Like, it's something he was always just keeping an eye. Just like, and here's a good thing to back it up. Remember how he was always like pulling up the screen on the ex-girlfriend? Mm-hmm. Same thing. He probably from time to time would zoom in on Jay, see what he was up to, make sure he was staying out of trouble. I'm not saying he was constantly in his life and constantly neuralizing. I think after they walk off the beach and he gets to his mom, Kay's never directly in his life again until that night in the police department. I genuinely believe that. But
I can understand. Here's my thing: is that we have to do way more thinking and theorizing and rationalizing for something that they could have just.
How much theorizing and rationalizing do we do on all these other movies? Like, especially like the Marvel shit.
Even like it just, if fucking all K, like the implication that you're implying is that K would have like said to Zed, he's like, listen, man, we got to get this guy in here. He, I blah 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 blah. I knew his daddy. Like, no,
that's what I'm saying.
Behind the scenes, you imagine Kay was talking to Rip Torn, being like, "It'd be really interesting if we got this guy in the MIB because I knew him when he was 5 years old."
See, no,
and
that's exactly the opposite of what I think. I think honestly, Kay and Brolin does a great job of displaying this because it's never said in words. But when his dad's dead and James is asking, where's my daddy and whatever, and you see Brolin as Kay struggling to figure out what to say to him. Like, I think nobody, and I mean this, nobody besides Kay and MIB knows about that moment. Like, I don't think Zed knew. I don't think anyone else knew. I don't think Kay ever told anybody. I think it happens. I think he gets James back to his mom. And I think he goes on with his life and just keeps an eye on this kid. And when he sees that he would be good material, which is what I'm sure he suspected based on his father, if you really want. No, I know I'm extrapolating a bit, but I mean, like, it. But, if that's it, I think that's what I'm saying. To your point about him talking to Zed, Zed had no idea. Like, he doesn't tell Zed,
Zed's dead.
Well, Zed, yeah, but I'm saying, what I'm saying.
Did you recognize who played Edwards' dad?
No.
That's Luke Cage.
Okay. All right. It's a much smaller Luke Cage.
It's a younger Luke Cage, but that's fucking, if he was bald and had a goatee, it was a little more yoked. That's Luke Cage.
All right. Well, I got no beef with that.
No. I just thought, I'm watching it with Michael, and I'm like, that's Luke Cage. And Michael's like, why are you yelling? And I'm like, it's Luke Cage. He's like, shut the fuck up. Calm down.
Right.
Okay. Again, I still like the third one, and it's not so much a criticism of Men in Black 3. It's a criticism of time travel movies in general.
No, I get you that, but
I'm using the formula of Back to the Future as this is how you do it right. This is the mechanics of how to not fuck it up, right? Here's another point, and honestly, as far as I could tell at the top of my head, that's all the criticism I have of Men in Black 3 is just the logic flowing in and out of the whole story, right? If Kay is assassinated in the fucking, in 1969, then when the timeline is kind of reset and all of a sudden Jay wants to drink chocolate milk,
right,
he wouldn't be an agent. He would still be a New York City cop.
No, because the long-haired idiot explains it. It essentially, and even O kind of explains a little bit about why he's craving chocolate milk. He got it's like a temporal protection. Like he somehow, because he was there as a child and was at that event that Kay would have died at.
He's not affected.
Bingo. So that's why he's still an agent, because it would have taken him, to your point, it would have taken him completely out of that. So he's still an agent because of this temporal bubble that he got put into.
Isn't there a part of you though that wish they would have done that? Just made him be like, what the fuck? Why am I a New York City cop again? What happened?
I think it would have made it harder for him it would have made it harder for the rest of the movie to then fall into line.
I disagree. Because if he has the knowledge of Men in Black, he would have been able to be like, I know what's going on back here. The movie could still flow exactly the same. He just has to be like, I need to speak to O. And then the fucking old black dude pops, who, that dude needs a raise.
Right.
What the fuck is he?
Right.
He's just sitting there for no fucking reason.
I was disappointed, and I'm guessing something happened to the actor, but I was disappointed he wasn't there for 4.
Probably died.
Yeah, I haven't actually looked, but and that would be my guess. Or he just flat out retired and was like, fuck it, I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? But those would be my only two.
Sit behind this fan, again? Fuck that. I got more fans. I'll do this at home. I'll plug in my fan. I don't know. You could play it exactly the same, if not have it be a little bit more interesting, where Jay has to convince O to not neuralize him. Also, sure. I was under the impression Zed would have been the head of MIB in 1969. He's been there forever. The implication is that he recruited Kay in a roundabout way, not whoever fucking the head of.
Well, what made you think he wasn't there on that first night that Kay references when he's talking to Will in the first one to James?
In the photograph, you mean?
Yeah, even though you don't specifically see his face, what makes you think he's not there?
I'm talking about in the 60s part of Men in Black 3, the head of MIB is not Zed, it's some other dude named X.
Oh, right, who's actually played by a guy I used to watch on a TV show called Sledgehammer. I can't think of the actor's name right now, but anyway.
They could find a fucking pitch perfect Josh Brolin to play young K. They can't find someone to pretend to be Rip Torn.
I guess the only implication is maybe they were both there on the first day, and X just got the job somehow over Zed, and then maybe he died at some point. Maybe,
but I don't know. It would have just been interesting to, I don't know, especially since they made this whole big deal about how Zed is dead in the third film, and it opens with his funeral and all that shit.
Which kind of irked me, because Rip Torn was not dead yet. they could have
No.
had Zed in that film. I guess there must have been some kind of. My guess is there had to be maybe some kind of either Rip didn't want to do it, or there was some kind of contract issue.
Or Rip was. I mean, around the time Rip also was like getting drunk and being crazy and running around. Like
I think I missed that. So
yeah, he Nick Nolte'd himself from time to time.
Men in Black 4, International 4, whatever you want to call it. That came out in what year? I don't have it in front of me right now. 2016?
That's like 2018, 2019, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
There's a portion that's set in 2016,
right.
And it said like 3 years later, so I would assume 2019.
Alpheus Merchant is the name of that. That's the actor that played that guard.
What are you talking about? What guard?
The guy in the fan, the guy we were just talking about.
Oh.
And he did pass away in 2010, so it would make. That's why he's not.
There you go.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that I always like if that's a fucking. Let's say that guy, that guard is a fucking Men in Black agent. Who's just he's like, I just don't want to be neuralized. I'm just like, don't retire me.
I'll just sit here.
I'll just sit. Like, what a fucking life for that guy. He just sits there, knows everything.
Sure.
What a weird, like, okay. It's just a weird fucking job. Okay. But back to the first one. I fucking love the first one. I think Vincent D'Onofrio was fucking scary as shit. I think I don't know what the fuck happened to Linda Fiorentino.
She got real big headed. I remember even Kevin kind of talking about that when they were making Dogma.
She and Kevin did not get along. There were plenty of times where she wasn't speaking to him. As far as I know, he's never explained the animosity between the two of them.
No, he's never gotten as detailed about it, but it felt the little bit he has talked about it, and you're right, it's been very either vague or broad strokes. But after hearing him tell the stories about Cop Out, it seemed very Bruce Willis-ish without her having earned Bruce still shouldn't be an asshole, right? Like, if he is the asshole that we've heard about, then that's what it is. But
right.
To his credit, I guess, or to his defense, whatever you want to call it, he's kind of earned that right with the stuff that he's done in his career. I don't think
he's earned his stripes to be a dick.
Right. I don't think you should, and I don't think it's right, but at least he's done stuff that you can be like, all right, well, you can see why he's got the big head, right? And I don't mean that,
I understand.
She apparently, from what I can tell, and a little bit I've read, not just from Kevin, because I have done some reading on this, because I was curious why she just kind of fucking disappeared overall, because she really has. And apparently she was getting the same kind of big head.
She didn't, like, quote-unquote, audition or, like, win the part of Laura in Men in Black.
No.
She won it through playing poker with Barry Sonnenfeld. That's how she got the role.
Mm.
Think about that. You're an actress and you are struggling and you audition and you're just hoping to fucking get a commercial. And then she just has, that extra 4 clubs that won her as a role.
Right.
Plus, if I remember reading correctly, she also got like another like $2,500 that was in the pot.
Nice.
Now imagine you're Barry Sonnenfeld, right? You do more or less have control of who is in your movie.
Sure.
You have to go to the studio and be like, so we have an actress. And they're like, oh yeah, who's that? And they're like, Linda Fiorentino. And they're like, who's that? Oh, well, it's I lost at poker. So now we have to either buy her out or put her in this movie.
Right.
It's just a weird thing because that doesn't. There are plenty of times where an actor gets gets a role without auditioning. Usually, you are a well-respected actor at that point, where you're just offered the role.
Sure.
Or there's a bidding war and all that shit. But I don't know of any other circumstance where it was like, all right, in this hand, what are you going to put in the pot? Well, here's about $2,500. How about I am the lead female role in your new sci-fi blockbuster comedy hit.
See, we don't even know that it was that specific. It could have just been, I get to be in your next movie. Do you know what I mean? Or I get to be the female lead in your next movie. We don't know that it was that specific to Men in Black, but yeah.
Very true. Let me also add this. Kevin Smith is the most revealing guy of any subject, any story.
Sure.
I've never heard any details about him in Fiorentino. All I've heard is that, oh yeah, today on the set of Dogma, she was not speaking to me. And then he said, in retrospect, I should have hired Janeane Garofalo. I want to know what the fuck happened. Like, it's more interesting to me what happened. I mean, it could have been that she was getting a big ass head.
Well, when we finally fucking interview him, you can make that one of our questions. What the hell happened with Fiorentino on Dogma? And see if you can get him to talk.
I'm also concerned what happened to Fiorentino after. Like,
that's what I'm saying. That's the other thing. That's what I'm saying. The research, a lot of what I said did not come from Kevin. You're right. He's been very tight-lipped which for him is very, as you said, unique. But I'd heard other. You know what? I heard it's like a combination of Willis and Norton. Really, is the best way to describe what I read and saw. Is how she started acting. But
there are plenty of difficult actors over the years who still get roles. Edward Norton and Bruce Willis both have careers.
Right, but Ed Norton earned his stripes. Willis earned his stripes. She hadn't by that point.
Mm-hmm. Which is a shame because I kind of like Linda Fiorentino in both Dogma and in Men in Black.
I do and I don't. I have mixed feelings about Linda. Maybe it's because of these things that I read. I don't know, but I don't hate her by any means. I don't want to make it sound like that. And for a long time, I struggled to watch Bruce Willis, period. I'm not at that point with her, but she's kind of forgettable in both. Like, for me, she's the main character in Dogma, like, not to go off on a whole Dogma thing, because I know we need to do that at some point, because we've not actually done that film, but, like, Rickman, Rock, Jay and Bob, obviously, even, why am I blanking on
Matt and Jason Lee, you're right, the whole cast
is much more memorable than Linda is to me in that film.
I always kind of found Linda Fiorentino as like the poor woman's Demi Moore. Like beautiful, seductive, kind of a husky voice. Not bad actresses in either context.
Sure.
It's just kind of astounding to see. Like, I'm not saying there's a conspiracy, but you can kind of tell, like, this is like an actress where clearly the studio was like, nope. She's blacklisted. Nope, never again. Like, you can kind of see she doesn't have a. It's not like she's really acting in anything. Even actors that like were doing shit eventually went on to like TV.
Well, that's the other thing that I had a thought of we're getting way off topic, but we'll just finish this off and try to circle back. But when the whole Me Too thing came out, the last thing I remember her doing was Dogma, which is Miramax.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of makes me wonder, did Harvey call her into the room? And
that's what I'm thinking, man.
And when she said no, he just fucking destroyed her.
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, it's certainly possible. I think there's truth to both ends. I think that's certainly a possibility. I think it's also possible she's difficult to work with, and people didn't want to work with her because of it. You know what I mean?
It could be the fact that she was quote unquote so strong-willed. So to speak, that got her in trouble in the first place, but also made her, sacrifice. She didn't sacrifice her own career. If we're implying and we're theorizing that Weinstein fucked her over, and it's because she turned his ass down and we probably said, you're a piece of shit. And he said, oh, well, I'm going to fucking ruin your life.
Right. And we are stressing that we're theorizing. We have no proof. We have no evidence. We've got nothing.
None.
We're 100% coming up with a theory. And you're absolutely right, Rico. There's no reason it couldn't be both. Where she was difficult and hard to work with, but then also because of that same strong will, stood up for herself, and Harvey said, "Fuck you." So
there's one more layer. Maybe she was difficult because of Harvey.
It could, yeah. I mean, that's certainly possible too. But I heard she was a little difficult on this, and this was before that. So I don't know.
Maybe just Italians are hard-headed. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, that I can vouch for 100%. So,
what the fuck are you talking about?
When you join Saya LTL Freight, you belong to something bigger from day one. Whether you live for the long haul, the city route, or working the docks, we have a job for you. Join the most elite team in the business. Best-in-class benefits, signing bonuses, and a first-rate commitment to safety. To start your journey with us, go to work@saia.com. That's work@saia.com. Is your career taking you where you want to go? With Saya LTL Freight's best-in-class benefits, signing bonuses, and competitive pay, it's easy to see why we have the longest tenure in the industry. So whether it's cross-country travel, being home nights and weekends, or working from the terminal, we've got a career for you. Drive your future forward. Visit work@saia.com. That's work@saia.com.
Hi, I'm Liz Munoz, CEO of Torrid. And at Torrid, we know how hard it is to find a bra that looks great and feels super comfortable, especially if you're a bigger or curvy girl. So we have spent the last 2 years building the perfect everyday wire-free bra with the belief that it should feel as good as it looks. It gives all the support and shape you'll ever need without any of the wires. Honestly, it's the first bra you'll forget to take off when you go to bed. So come to Torrid.com and try our life-changing wire-free bra today.
But look, the whole point of bringing her up is I liked her in Men in Black, and I was actually kind of like disappointed she didn't come back for the second one.
I remember thinking that when I saw it. I got to be honest with you. When I saw the second one, and I honestly don't recall if I saw that one in the theater. I don't think that I did. I know I saw the first one, and I know I certainly didn't see 3 or 4 in the theater. I'm just not remembering 2. Which one?
I definitely saw 3 in the theater. I fell asleep.
Yeah, well,
I think it was a late showing, and I don't know if it was I was bored. I don't know. I remember falling asleep towards the end.
I've only fallen asleep at one movie in the theater, and it's because I was at a lock-in, and so the movie started at like 2:30, 3 in the morning, and ended around sunrise. So by that point, I was just exhausted. But that was Miracle.
I fell asleep at my second viewing of Rogue One because I had already seen it, but I don't know why. I was just kind of bored. But then I remember waking up right at the Vader scene, which was obviously my favorite fucking part. And I was like, oh, this whole movie's like, whatever. This whole movie's whatever. I'm like, oh, Vader, I'm awake.
Right.
And Michael was like, did you fucking sleep through that whole fucking thing? I'm like, yeah, but Vader, that was cool. He's like, Jesus Christ, what a waste of money.
Yeah, well. But getting back to the Men in Black movies, especially to the first one, you were talking about how you were disappointed Linda didn't, Elle, because that is the character's name. Ultimately, by the end of the film, doesn't make a return. I had a problem with some of the similar stuff, like, but smaller at the same time. And what I mean by that is like when Will finally takes over to the Tommy Lee Jones level position after he neuralizes Kay, he's wearing a very different suit. And
I fucking hated that too.
And also they're wearing different Ray-Bans
I fucking hated that.
Like, you didn't like that they changed it or they didn't carry it through?
I didn't like his outfit at the end. It's not like they're off duty.
No. No. And that's my point. But see, here's the thing. Here's my interpretation of that. Will is a young African-American man in that film. You said his thing said he was born in 1969. So I'm not going to argue with you because I don't remember. But if that is the year and there's doing true to life years, he's 27.
Mm-hmm.
27-year-old African-American male is going to be wearing a suit like that in 1997. Trust me on that. I've seen it firsthand.
Okay.
So for him to change the suit a little bit and make it more his style, and it's assumed he got authorization from on high for that, from Zed or whoever else, you know.
I don't think so. Not because we say, you will wear what we deem you will wear.
Right, but I'm saying that I had no problem with the suit. My issue was they didn't carry it through. I wish they would have carried it through, especially because they got a new car. I mean, he's driving a fucking Mercedes in the second one.
Listen, they do something similar to fucking Agent H in International with Hemsworth. He has different Argyle. He has like Argyle socks.
Right.
That is him kind of being like, fuck authority. You know, I'm wearing the Men in Black suit, but you know, underneath, I'm my own individual person.
Sure.
That's fine, but like, it just doesn't seem like Zed would let any of that fucking, you know, you will eat where we deem you to eat. You will sleep when we tell you to sleep. Like, it's that type of rigidness that, yes, I can imagine Will Smith wanting to break away a little bit, but he's not off duty. He's on duty.
No, that's what I'm saying. I see him getting that K-level job position and going to Zed, you know, from the time that it starts to the time that he neuralizes K to the time that we see that and going, hey man, let's spruce this up a little bit. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what it was. He tried it. He tried a different suit. He tried a different thing of glasses. Zed saw it and said, yeah, don't do that shit. He's like, okay, and that's why he's always wearing a fucking regular ass suit and glasses in the next two fucking films. That's why. He's like, I'm gonna try something different. And Zed's like, no.
I don't know.
We're not hosting an intergalactic kegger here.
I fucking love that line. That's such a great line. Remember I was telling you about like memorable quotes from that first one that my ex and I used to throw around. Another one we used to throw around was if she asked me a question and I was annoyed, I'd pull out the well, Alex just brought that one up on Jeopardy last night. You know, like I would pull that one out.
That's a great one.
Yeah,
that's a really good one.
And then we both loved. So all right, full disclosure, the ex that I'm talking about, her name was Tiffany.
Yeah.
So there's the sequence. No, I'm saying that in ready to tell a fun story. I'm not getting all sad and whatever. There's the sequence in the shooting gallery during the testing phase, and I remember when Zed goes to him and goes, "Do you want to tell me why little Tiffany had to die?" And I remember looking at her, laughing my ass off the minute it happened. Because it was just so, and then he explains the whole thing like, I was gonna shoot this guy hanging off the lamppost, and then I realized he's no danger. He's just working out. And how would I feel if someone came in the gym, busted me in my ass when I was working out on the treadmill, And I was gonna shoot this guy over here, and then I realized he's not snarling, he's sneezing. He's got a tissue in his hand. But little Tiffany. White girl in the middle of the ghetto, middle of the night, monsters all around with quantum physics books. She's about to start some shit, Zed. Then, I
appreciate if you get off my back about it. Or do I owe her an apology?
Right. I mean, it just, that whole, I fucked the line up.
Thing.
Yeah.
Back in the day when movies, like, were a thing, they also had like tie-in novelizations.
Sure.
For all you young people, there used to be books that came out after the movie that kind of expand about maybe 10% more. Like all the bitching we're doing about Men in Black 3 and everything, there would have been a novelization that would have explained all this shit. And we would have been like, haha, in the book. But truth be told, Jay was right. In the novelization, it was actually expanded upon that his theory was correct, that Tiffany was, in fact, the biggest threat in the whole shooting gallery.
No,
yeah. Which is why
I bought it.
That whole.
I bought it from Jump. As soon as he gave that whole explanation, I was like, yeah, he's right. Like, you know, and it wasn't even
Absolutely.
busting.
Look, we're here to tell you, all young white girls are the fucking biggest problem on the planet.
No.
No.
Here's something we should talk about briefly before you move on, though. I want your opinion on this. Until Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man. So, you know, Sam Raimi, whatever. Is this the most successful comic book movie of all time? Because I think Spider-Man surpasses it, personally, in terms of
I would need
success.
to double check how much Blade made and how much X-Men made.
X-Men, yeah, that's true. But I'm talking more about, I guess, popularity. But I guess X-Men, you know,
we also have to consider Batman. The 4 Batman movies came out roughly before this. Plus, you got your 4 Superman movies. Let me put it this way: I'll tweak the answer to accommodate both of us. Right? I would say Men in Black is the most at the time before Spider-Man was the most successful comic book movie that a lot of people didn't know was a comic book movie.
No, for sure. I think there's still people to this day that have no idea that it was a comic book movie.
It's just like the Ninja Turtles. There are people who didn't know that Ninja Turtles were a comic book.
Agreed.
They thought it was just a fucking show and toys.
Yep.
And if you didn't know about that, you can listen to Shelf.
Yeah. But
did you ever read the comic? I never read the comic.
No, I have not. No.
All right, let me ask you another question. Did you ever watch the fucking animated show?
I did. It was not as good.
I tried. It was not as good. You're correct.
Yeah, no.
Here's the crazy thing. One of the DVDs that I was watching of one of the Men in Black movies, I think it might have been the second one. One of the bonus features, it showed a trailer for a Men in Black video game, and holy fuck, it looks like dog shit.
I did not see that, so I can't speak to it.
It is fixed bird's eye view, and it's not even like... It's like at an angle. I feel like it was a fucking bird in the corner of your ceiling.
Yeah.
Looking at it, that's at the fixed view. It just looks crap. The graphics looks like shit. But man, the announcer for this trailer was like really like, you get to play as agents of Men in Black.
Yeah.
Now you could take down aliens, all the scum of the universe. Like, yeah, it looks awful. I'd rather read the novelization.
Yeah. I hear you. Any more on the first one?
Yeah, I also it didn't occur to me until this viewing. It's such a it's such a sight gag that if you don't think about and then you think about it, it kind of clicks. There's a part where they go back to fucking Edgar's farm to meet his wife.
Oh, that's another line, by the way, very quickly. Before you get to your point that we used to throw around, I was like, and get a decorator in here, because damn. Like,
I have to say that when Will Smith does the damn, that's always an underrated favorite thing of me. Yeah. He's like, in the third one, he's like, and this is from the planet Damn.
Yeah.
But when they're fucking hanging out with Forrest Gump's fucking bus driver.
Yeah.
That
is her. I get it. Yeah.
I'm not prejudiced against people who have names. I'm not like Ralph Garman. I don't understand. But I'm not Ralph Garman as much as Ralph Garman. I'm a little, but like I have one confusion of the name Siobhan. The actress's name is Siobhan, but
yeah, I know.
I don't know how to spell it. I don't know how the fuck they pronounce it the way it's spelled. I don't get it. It's some old-ass Celtic way of saying Siobhan, which I don't think is... I don't know why it's a name in the first place. But that being said, I like the actress. There's that gag where, like, she offers them lemonade and Will takes a sip and spits it out.
Yeah, it's presumably all pulp or something, or seeds.
No, so you're right there with me. I didn't realize it. Edgar drank all the sugar. That's why he spat it out. It's sour as fuck. There's no sugar.
Maybe. Okay. I can't. I mean, you're probably right, but I can't. Yeah, it's an assumption. It's a safe one.
Say that, like, oh my god, I didn't think about it. You're right.
Okay, fuck, easy there.
I come up with something, and I'm like, neither of us thought about this, and the movie's 25 years old.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. All right. By the way, we talk about a lot of the times, like on this show in general, like when did we first realize we saw said person, or we saw said person, didn't realize we saw said person. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's D'Onofrio for me.
Oh, I agree.
This is probably the first Vincent D'Onofrio film I ever saw, and didn't even realize it was him.
I think the second one I saw of him was Mystic Pizza.
I've never seen that.
See, yeah, I never saw Adventures in Babysitting until I was way older.
Oh, was he in that? Then I guess
He played, quote unquote, Thor. He played the dude who looked like the little girl is like obsessed with
Thor.
And thinks he looks like Thor. Yeah.
All right. Well, then
not to be confused with another Men in Black movie also starring Thor.
Right. Well, then I take back my statement, because that's probably the first one.
He was also in fucking Full Metal Jacket, but I didn't
see that.
Honestly, I'm of the opinion that Full Metal Jacket is the first half is better. The first half is really just like, holy shit, this is a movie. Second half, whatever. But he's good in it. We've been praising Vincent D'Onofrio forever. Since Fortescue's been a thing, we've both been fans of him.
We're both huge fans. I'm a huge fan, and I'm actually, the other night on Get Vocal we did TV shows, and one of the ones didn't come up because it just didn't. But and I think we were trying to go for older stuff anyway for most of that conversation. But like, I've been going back through Daredevil lately, and god damn, I forget how good he is as Kingpin.
Sure,
he is so good as Kingpin.
Sure.
So,
he's great as Kingpin. I mean, you mentioned yesterday Law and Order: Criminal Intent. I tried to. I mean, I would watch Criminal Intent when there was nothing else to watch.
Right.
Which was really interesting because, like, find a station, you'll find Law and Order SVU.
Sure.
But there were times where Criminal Intent was on and SVU was not on, and he helped that movie. He helped that show for me. I meant to say. I mean, shit, dude. I've tweeted at D'Onofrio and invited him to come on.
I remember. Yeah.
And he scared the fuck out of me by liking the tweet, but that's as far as that went. I'm like, hey, Vincent D'Onofrio, you should come on Podeskew. And he liked the tweet, and I mentally shat my pants. Like, I just, and that was it. And I tweet him like, hey, are we doing this? And he just didn't respond. Yeah, I would like, if they were going to bring back characters and actors to the MCU, he's got to come back. I mean, like, I love Charlie Cox as Daredevil too, and I love John Bernthal as Punisher. I want my Kingpin because there's so many things you could do with him.
He has said he would gladly do it. I've read that. So
yeah, but they're running out of time, man. Like, he's like, I'm sure he's like, I want to go back into shape. I don't want to be a big fat fuck.
Right. Well, no, if you want my opinion, and I don't want to go off on the whole thing, I think you're going to see. I think if nothing else, a post-credit scene, you're going to see him in No Way Home, because you're getting Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. I don't know that we're going to see him in the Daredevil suit. My understanding is we're not, but you're still getting. He's going to be
a lawyer,
right? You're still getting Matt Murdock. So my gut tells me we're going to get a little taste of him in this, and then where he, what'll happen after that, I don't know. But
you know what I anticipate happening? I anticipate they're going to they'll test the waters of putting him back in the Spider-Man mythos, but by putting him in like Venom 3. That's what I theorize.
I hope not. But anyway,
I hope not too. But anyways, we like Vincent D'Onofrio. They're better. Like, fucking, like, Michael was telling me. You want to talk about quotable lines from the Men in Black films?
Yeah.
Michael works in kitchens, so whenever he's like, "You need sugar," he's like, "Give me sugar."
I thought he was gonna go with you were gonna go with when he where's so and so? I gave him a break, and then you pan down and he's literally broken in half under the shelf.
Yeah, that's a chiropractic adjustment I don't want.
Yeah, right. So
that's what you don't want at the joint.
I did like there was a trope that was in the first one, not a trope, but a thing that occurs in the first one that they mirror in the third one that I thought they did really well too.
What's up?
When in the first one, when the bug kills the Archelian and his bodyguard, I guess, for lack of a better word, the big, tall, bald guy.
Lurch, by the way.
I was just gonna say you beat me to it. When he kills those guys. By the way, I don't think I've ever heard that guy speak English because he doesn't speak in Addams Family, and he speaks Archelian the entire time in this film. I don't think he says anything in English.
I'm trying to think if he says anything in Addams Family.
No, he burps.
He definitely
he burps in the second one and burps fire, I believe. But that's the only. He groans a lot, but no words.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Anyway, but when the bug kills the two of them and then steals the thing that he thinks has the galaxy in it, but it actually has diamonds in it that apparently the guy had gotten for the other guy's daughter or whatever.
Right.
In the third one, when Boris kidnaps Griff and rips that box off his neck, thinking that the ArcNet is in the box, and it turns out not to be there. It's the same. To me, that was
the old switcheroo.
Right. To me, that was like another nod back to the. That's what I'm saying. I feel like the third one had several nods back to the first one, and that was one of them. You know.
Yeah. I also, Michael and I were watching the first one, and I thought Cave makes this whole big thing about like how the bug with like unlimited strength, but he can't open that little fucking thing full of jewels.
I actually had I get it, and Michael's not wrong. My thinking on it is because he's limited by being in the Edgar suit. If he was just him in his pure form, yeah, he probably could rip that thing apart. But he didn't want to get out of the Edgar suit until he was confident he had the thing, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
You know. Plus, I'm sure CGI or financially they couldn't afford to have him bust out of the suit and bust out of the Edgar thing and then kind of somehow get back in, you know.
I'm just imagining like he grabbed the jewels when they're like having lunch. So and it's dark by the time he opens it. He's been like struggling for like 6 hours trying to open that fucking thing. It just makes me kind of laugh. Like he's just like just thrashing in the fucking thing for 6 hours or so.
I didn't take it that way, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
You ready to move on to the second one?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else from one that
if
we need
it
to touch
comes
on.
back to us, I'm sure we're allowed to go back.
Oh, of course. It's our fucking show. We can do whatever we want.
I know.
So 2. I know you texted me after 2, and I don't have it right in front of me, but you said something like, I don't think I liked this as much as I remembered, or something.
I was on the phone with you. It wasn't a text. I said I have more. I didn't like it as much as I thought I did.
I think you texted it to me too. You might have said it on the phone, but I'm almost positive you sent me a text that said the same thing.
I think at the time I was a different age, and I appreciate it a little bit more for the humor. I still think the fucking beatboxing portion with Will Smith and the fucking other dude.
I fucking love that still.
I still think that's a fucking great goddamn scene. I also think they overplayed it in the trailers.
Oh sure. Shout out to Biz Marquee, by the way.
Is that who it is?
Yeah, he passed away last month, I think it was.
Really?
Oh yeah, he died just recently. Like it was within the last 6 weeks. Yeah.
Well, in the most respectful way, like this.
Yeah.
Like that's the best.
That part was Will's line, but sure, yeah.
Well, I can't do the fucking like.
Yeah, what Biz does, yeah.
This I liked the whole concept of bringing Kay back, you know, and
Which I have a problem with.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with bringing Kay back. What I got a problem with is reinserting him into society.
Okay.
So Jay does this thing where, in the first one, and I'm tying it together, so bear with me, but in the first one where he's like, so you flash this thing and then you make up a new memory for him, and that's the best thing you can do for him. So Will starts doing this ad-libbing thing with a lot of them, and that goes back to what we talked about, the interior decorator and that whole thing. So It's presumed that when he flashes Kay, remembering watching him look up, his old girl on the satellite that one time, he gives him this thing about you've been in this coma for however many years, it's been 30 years, whatever it is. Let's not split hairs over that part. And, your girl still lives in Tiro, you're going to go be with her, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. He's got no social security number. He's got no birth certificate.
He's got no fingerprints.
I was getting there. Yes, he has no fingerprints. How do you reinsert that into society without a whole bunch of fucking questions?
You fucking neuralize all the people ahead of that. Just like in the first one where he's just like, I got all this paperwork. And then he's like, no, it's already been taken care of. And then he's like, great job, Edwards. And presumably he just fucking flashed thingy the dude and said he did all his paperwork.
The only logical thing that I can come up with is that you can then recreate the social security number, the birth certificate, like the documentation, but he's still going to be fingerprintless. You can't re-etch fingerprints into someone's skin. Maybe they can. They have technology we don't know about, but I doubt it,
It's bordering on the same. Like, Steph has a kind of complaint about the line in the second film, which was, let's put it on. The last suit you'll ever wear. Again. Like,
that's just a joke. It's that.
I get it. I understand, but like Steph's whole, and I see her point too. Steph's whole thing is, the implication is that they're supposed to die in that suit. It's their uniform. It's them, like military, but it's stylish.
Sure.
So the fact that they retire anybody is kind of, and then have to bring them back. Like, I think if Kay came back to do this thing, then they should have neuralized him again at the end of the film and be like, that's it. No more. You're done.
I guess.
Because to mention, he looked like, I like Tommy Lee Jones, but he did not look good in the third film, which is probably why they thought he looked bad.
No, he did. I agree.
And he looked bad in the sense that, like, it looked like they tried to do something to his face to, like, make him not look as bad.
Oh, you mean like digitally, or?
Yeah, like his face in the third one looked almost synthetic. Like his mouth and his nose. It looked like heavy ass makeup to try and like
makeup maybe, because I'll tell you this: I watched some deleted scenes and some gag reel stuff on 2 and on 3, and he looks the same. And I doubt the gag reel stuff has all the extra. Like if they did anything digitally.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't.
Yeah, so. I'm sorry, it's sad to say that that's just how he looked.
But here's also the opinion Tommy Lee Jones has never looked particularly amazing.
No, here's
but
the
that's
thing.
That's sort of the appeal.
Something happened positively between the time they shot the beginning of that movie and that last scene in the diner, because he looks more like Men in Black 2 Tommy Lee Jones when he's at the diner at the end.
I disagree.
Than he did at the other part.
I don't particularly agree. I think he looked bad throughout the whole third film.
Well, he's only in
which is probably why they have Josh Brolin.
Or it could be said that Tommy just didn't really put himself back into shape because he's like, I'm only going to be in this thing for like 10 fucking minutes, so.
True.
Anyway.
Anyways, the second film. I remember it being as jokey as possible, which for me kind of clashed against the first one. It's kind of like, in comparison, like what Batman Returns and then Batman and Robin. Really, honestly, it's one is more campy than The Darkness. It's not that they're definitely part of a franchise, but it's such conflicting tones that it kind of bothers me when too many things clash, especially if they're trying to make it not just a franchise, but a real true trilogy. It's not like it's a different actors playing the same characters like Batman.
Sure.
I'm also kind of fucking confused of the whole point of Rosario Dawson's character.
She's a light as Arthon.
Right. But is she going to explode?
No, the bracelet was going to explode. He even says that. He goes, if we don't get you in that transport, that bracelet's going to go nuclear and wipe out all life on this planet. He says that line.
So why does she got to go?
Because if I'm guessing, it's genetically coded to her, so if it's not with her off planet, you know.
Okay, am I the only one who kind of like felt they were hinting, or I just misinterpreted? But it kind of implied that Kay was her dad.
Oh, it doesn't kind of imply. It flat out implies that he banged Lorena at some point, and yeah.
What the fuck was that? Why was that a thing? Like, I don't understand the inclusion of that. First off, ew.
What?
Tommy Lee Jones banging an alien?
If he found, I mean, did you have a problem with Captain Kirk banging aliens in the JJ Star Trek? Because he does.
I mean, I had more of a problem of H banging an alien in International.
Why?
I don't know. It's just I don't know. I guess I expect Captain Kirk to fuck everything. Man, woman, vegetable, mineral. I mean,
Jay said it. No, because honestly, until that interpretation of Kirk, he's not the horn dog that. No, not as much. Anyway, but still, Jay says it best. You know, homeboy went to Mars.
Oh, that Jay.
Yeah, you know, homeboy found a Martian.
Fucked a Martian.
And fucked him. You know, like, who cares if you're like.
I'm not talking about the attraction. I mean, look, fine. Inevitably, a Men in Black, agent would fuck an alien. Fine, free love, all that bullshit. But
I got a bigger problem with the fact that fucking Kay can't keep his shit straight. Does he want the girl in Massachusetts? Does he want O? Does he want this alien? Like, fucking make up your mind.
She left his ass. That's the other thing I thought was such a fuck you kind of like write off. They make him upset. They make him pine for this woman that he left 30 years previously.
Oh yeah.
They get back together, and then like Jay's like, that's why she left you, Kay.
Yeah.
Because you're uncomfortable being in a fucking mailman.
Well, they probably
then neuralize them both and give them a happier fucking life. Dude.
They probably just couldn't bring Patricia McPherson back, and it's also implied what?
I just didn't know you would. Is that who that fucking is?
Mm-hmm.
It's just random that you would know that name.
She looked really familiar to me, so I looked her up, and it turned out it's fucking Patricia McPherson from Knight Rider. So that's why I.
Well, fucking it. You occasionally throw me these curveballs where I'm just like, like remember when we were talking about like Vampire in Brooklyn?
No, I mean I remember we talked about it, but I'm not gonna remember. I don't think I remember what you're.
You pulled the fucking actor from Renaissance Man out of thin air.
Which, by the way, I've been meant to bring this up when we were talking the other day. I don't want to go off on a whole thing, but he's in one of those guys. Is in fucking The Sopranos.
Yes.
The kid they called him Brooklyn in Renaissance Man. I don't think they ever told us his real name, or if they did, they only said it once. But they called him Brooklyn.
Oh, I told you. Lilo Brancato Jr., the guy who's like does the De Niro impression and all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I told you.
Well, I don't remember, and then I saw him, and I'm like, holy shit, it's that guy. But anyway.
Yeah, and then in real life, he went full on mobster.
Okay.
Yeah, he went. That dude served time. He's out of jail now, but he.
Fair enough.
Anyway.
But yeah, no. I mean, I see. I
just don't like the implication that Kay had fucking is Rosario's dad. It's just such a weird thing to not fully explain and just kind of heavily imply, and it just doesn't go anywhere.
Well, why is that bothering you though? Just because they don't explain it?
They don't explain it. Also, it's kind of just it comes out completely out of left field.
I guess. I mean,
wouldn't Kay like have more of like, just like, I'm not saying he needs to go full Vader and be like, well, I am your father, like,
Right.
And not for nothing, if Kay fucked an alien and they had Rosario Dawson, she would look like how she did in Mandalorian. That's all I'm saying. She would look full alien.
No, not necessarily. There were humanoid looking aliens on.
I'm making a joke.
Okay. Because no, but he does. There's really one line that, and it's a double. I was gonna say double entendre, but I don't think that's the right word for it. But where they're talking, he's trying to convince her that she's the light while they're on the rooftop, and Jay's fighting Lorana, like he's just being attacked.
Selena.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, you're right. But he's fighting Selena. So while that's happening, Kay and Rosario, who, do we even get her name now that I'm thinking about it? Laura, right. They're having this conversation. And
Laurel. That's it, Laurel.
No, I think it's Laura. I think you're right the first time. I'm looking up now, but I think you're right the first time. He says to her, you ever notice that it rains when you're sad? And she said something like, I'm a Virgo. Or no, she said something like, it rains when a lot of people are sad, or people get sad when it rains, I think is what she says to him.
Yeah.
And he goes, it rains because you're sad, baby. And it's not like a sexy baby. It's like, you know what I mean? Like that word, that use of the word baby and the way he says it is really what triggered for me that, yes, that is his way of saying I'm your father without ever actually saying the words.
It just kind of, it also, I mean, you're right, because I noticed that too. But
So, real quick, not to change subjects, but I just clearing it up. Laura, you're getting your people confused. Laura is Rosario Dawson. Laurel was the doctor from the first one.
Fiorentino.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
It just seems, I don't know. I guess I'm just tired of hinting at something. I like my movies kind of to explain a little bit more,
sure,
and make it set in stone. And even when like Will's like asking Kay after that, he's like, did y'all, implying like, did you fuck a Martian, like, and create that?
Right. Because
then it just kind of makes it weird. He's like, should he be like making jokes to Kay, be like, I'm like, you're almost my father-in-law now, because I want to, I was about to bang your daughter, and I didn't know she was your daughter, because why the fuck would she be your daughter? Of all the agents, damn. She came from the planet, damn.
Yeah. Right.
I'm also, look, another criticism I have is I like the Jackass movies because of how stupid ridiculous they are, but Johnny Knoxville needs to not act.
Well, and that's what you just brought up, something I was going to get into. So thank you, and I mean that. So thank you for bringing it up. That's the one problem I have with the Men in Blacks, with the exception of Tommy Lee and Will Smith. And I would say I would say the first two are more guilty of this than 3 and 4 are, for what that's worth. Despite what you think of 3 and 4's films, I would say 1 and 2 are more guilty of this. Finding the flash in the pan at that moment and putting it on in the film. So Johnny Knoxville was huge at the time because Jackass was huge at the time. Laura Flynn Boyle was pretty big at the time. Linda Fiorentino, you said she won the thing, but she actually was starting to gain some momentum at that time. Even Rosario. Now, the difference is Rosario walked past that and had a very successful career post Men in Black. I would say she actually did her more important stuff after. You know what I mean? Whereas for some of these other people, that was like the high point. So that's just my opinion.
What was the last fucking Laura Flynn Boyle movie you saw?
Exactly my point. Same thing with Linda and Johnny Knoxville and
well, Knoxville still has a career, but like he's suffered more than other actors to make his career. Let's put it that way.
They're shooting Jackass 4 as we speak. So
I think they already finished.
Okay, well then they. But I'm saying that my point is, it's a new. They're doing a new Jackass, and it's coming. If they, so
I would genuinely love to see if Johnny Knoxville can actually act without being, himself.
I think
I just found his alien character really fucking. Then he disappears. Where the fuck did he go? He just disappears throughout the film.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
That looks like a deleted scene, or like they would need it for reshoots. And he's like, "No, I broke my penis today. I can't do it."
Yeah, right.
For the record, I looked up on Wikipedia Men in Black 2 to see if they say anything about. So Laura's bracelet leads J&K to the roof of a skyscraper where a ship stands ready to transport the light back to Zartha. Kay reveals that Laura is the daughter of Lorana, and it is implied Kay's daughter. What? I just.
I
Clearly,
said that.
we're not the only ones.
Yeah, no. I think it was pretty easily implied that. I have a question for you, though, about something that takes place in the second one that is minor by comparison, but when it occurred to me, and it did not really occur to me until this viewing, to be 100% fair, I thought would have driven you fucking insane, and honestly, even more so, Steph. David Cross.
Yeah.
And it's not. Wait, I want before you get into it, I want to stress to the audience, I'm not implying that you don't like David Cross. It's what they do with David Cross in these films that I think you have a problem with.
You're absolutely right. Steph did not watch the second one with me and Michael. At that point she had been sitting all day, so she stretched out, but she heard the movie.
Sure.
But Michael and I both brought it up. For those who don't know what the fuck we're talking about, David Cross plays a morgue clerk, whatever, in the first film.
Person, yeah, something.
And Edgar the Bug fucking heavily implies that he kills him, or he just glues him to the ceiling. He spackles him
to the ceiling, essentially, yeah.
And then David Cross comes back as a video store clerk, which I fucking thought was hysterical. The name of that video store still cracks me up. It's Tapeworms.
Yep. And
still fucking funny to me.
Yeah.
So Michael is a David Cross fan. I'm not a big David Cross fan, but like when he came on the screen on the second film, Michael's like, he lives, and I'm like, yeah, but and Michael's like, do you think that was the same character? Like they neuralized him from the first film, and then he had a different career. I'm like, no, that doesn't make any bit of sense because it implies he's had this video store for years. You know, who the fuck starts a video store in 1999 or 2001 and has VHSs back in the day? Like that was a very most video stores start late 80s, early 90s, if not earlier. Then no one just says, I'm going to fucking start a video store, in the mid 2000s. It just doesn't happen. And then yes, it annoys me, but I had this rationale, and I said, you know what? It's just how there's just two motherfuckers who look and sound exactly alike living in New York City. That's the only rationale. It's kind of like when you get actors that play separate comic book roles. Like there's just two of them out there. Sorry, like Chris Evans. There's a lot of Chris Evanses and Ryan Reynolds out there.
No, for sure. And so just to lay it out, I am looking at on here. He does not have a character. His character does not have a name in the first one. It's just morgue attendant. That's all it says. So the implication that it's the same person, potentially, I don't buy. Because I do agree, I don't think he's dead when he's hanging from the ceiling, because you actually hear him mumble something at Kay.
I didn't.
He does. He's like, but he doesn't say anything because his mouth is covered, so there's no words, but it's implied he's still alive.
Sure.
That alone, though, you remember how much of a, I guess for lack of a better phrase, germaphobe that guy was, or at least anti-vermin, right?
Right.
I don't know what the word for that is, because it's not arachnophobia, because that's specifically spiders.
Bugophobia, whatever the fuck.
Whatever, yeah. Has zero problem.
He's bugged out.
Yeah. Has zero problem with the fact that there's a rat in the toilet in his video store.
Okay, if we're going down this route, right? Let's say he was neuralized. Maybe his fucking phobia of bugs. You could also be phobic against bugs, but not phobic against rodents. Like, it is a thing.
I guess. Yeah.
I mean, there are people who there are people who are like arachnophobic, but like snakes don't bother them. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
not everything that's quote unquote creepy is designated to scare everyone.
True.
Let's say he is the same guy. Let's say he was working part-time at the morgue to help fuel his fucking video store business, because video stores are just not working out, unfortunately. So he's got to work at the morgue, and he's
it does imply that store's been around since 1970 something, actually.
And there's no chance in hell he was the one who was owning it. It
could have been his mom with the palsy, but
why the fuck did he decide to kill his mom?
I was getting to that.
And who the fuck keeps a shovel at their feet?
Well, I mean, that guy, nothing surprises me about that guy. So, like, that doesn't stun me. But
see, there's a lot of these, like, sight gags and, like, jokes that just are like, haha, that was funny, then wait, why? Throughout the Men in Black 2 film, where I'm just like, that's fucking... why?
By the way, I did like Will giving some love to Philly in that sequence. Unless you're from Philly, you're not going to get it.
I know what you're talking about. I wanted to bring this up. I'm so glad you brought this up.
What is it? Because I don't know if you're thinking the same thing.
John?
Yeah, Johns look like they can pick up cable. That is a Philly fucking word, man. I've been using John since I was like 10 years old. So
I have to this all goes full circle. I didn't know about Johns until Tessa Thompson brought it up in Creed.
Yep, she does say
explain what a Johns was, know, and so there you go. It all comes Philly circle.
Yep. No, and
when I'm done with this, I'm going to go back to watching Boy Meets World set in fucking Philly.
If I can find it for you someday, when my buddy and I was like fucking 18, he was like 16 because we're about 3 years apart. We were bored as fuck one day. It was shitty weather outside. And we were hanging out at my house. We made a whole PowerPoint slide on the word John. No joke. A whole PowerPoint presentation. If I can find that shit, I'll send it to you because it's rather fun. I mean,
I would definitely look at that.
Like we even had a graph of like how much things John versus things that don't, like, because John is like fuck. It doesn't have one meaning. Like it's a multi-use word.
Mm-hmm.
So,
how would you spell John?
Jaun.
I always thought it was a W, but
no,
all right, you would know more than me.
There's debate about a bunch of stuff with the word John, so I could see people arguing it with a W, but my spelling has always been AU.
As soon as Will said it, I immediately thought of you, and then I was like, "Oh my god, that's also." How do I know? It's Creed. Oh my god, fucking
Tessa Thompson.
Like it's this weird fucking like Men in Black, Creed, and Thor like world,
blend,
you know.
Well,
it's Valkyrie and fucking, you know.
Yeah, but yeah, when he says John's look like he can pick up cable, I was like, shit, yeah.
That's a great Philly fucking.